Welcome in, everyone. Great to see you all here. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. We have huge news. President Donald Trump has launched a large-scale military operation in the Middle East targeting the Houthis in Yemen, and the footage and all the details are pretty incredible. We're going to break down what is going on, what is the operation, who's being hit, are we in a full-blown war right now, all of that and more. Before we do get into it, as always, please like and subscribe. Comment with your thoughts below, and now let's get into it. So the Houthis are an Iranian-backed proxy group in Yemen that has been harassing international shipping lanes ever since the October 7th attack in Israel. They've been firing at warships. They've been firing at commercial vessels. They've been causing serious problems. They are a terrible group of people, and they need to be dealt with. And when President Biden was still in office, he launched some very limited strikes against the Houthis to kind of try to reestablish deterrence, push them back a little bit. The strikes overwhelmingly were very tiny in nature, had limited to no impact. There were also reports that there were Tier 1 operators within Yemen targeting or deciding areas, identifying possible strike areas. And now President Trump has really ratcheted things up. And he stunned people when on Saturday he hopped on Truth Social. I unfortunately can't even put this on the screen because it's too much to show. But he says, I'm going to read it to you right now, and then we're going to roll into some footage of what happened. He says, today I've ordered the United States military to launch decisive and powerful military action against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. They have waged an unrelenting campaign of piracy, violence, and terrorism against American and other ships, aircraft, and drones. Joe Biden's response was pathetically weak, so the unrestrained Houthis just kept going. It has been over a year since a U.S.-flagged commercial ship safely sailed through the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, or the Gulf of Aden. The last American warship to go through the Red Sea 4 months ago was attacked by the Houthis over a dozen times. Funded by Iran, the Houthi thugs have fired missiles at U.S. aircraft and targeted our troops and allies. These relentless assaults have cost the U.S. and world economy billions of dollars, while at the same time putting innocent lives at risk. The Houthi attack on American vessels will not be tolerated. We will use overwhelming lethal force until we've achieved our objectives. The Houthis have choked off shipping in one of the most important waterways of the world, grinding vast swaths of global commerce to a halt and attacking the core principle of freedom of navigation upon which international trade and commerce depends. Our brave warfighters are right now carrying out aerial attacks on the terrorist base, leaders, and missile defenses to protect American shipping, air, and naval assets and to restore navigational freedom. No terrorist force will stop American commercial and naval vessels from freely sailing the waterways of the world. To all Houthi terrorists, your time is up, and your attacks must stop starting today. If they don't, hell will rain down upon you like nothing you have ever seen before. To Iran, support for the Houthi terrorists must end immediately. Do not threaten the American people, their president, who has received one of the largest mandates in presidential history, or worldwide shipping lanes. If you do, beware, because America will hold you fully accountable, and we won't be nice about it. So that's what he announced on Saturday, March 15th, seemingly out of nowhere. And I was in the middle of a conversation. I said, are these strikes already happening? Is it already underway? What's going on? The answer is yes, the strikes were happening by the time he posted that. U.S. Central Command released multiple videos, including direct strike footage, as well as cruise missiles being fired and much more, fighter jets taking off to go hammer these dudes, just wipe them out. And let's go ahead right now. Let's roll the videos of the footage of the strikes against the Houthis in Yemen released by U.S. Central Command. Then we'll get into it. So there you have the footage of the strikes being carried out against the Houthis in Yemen. So what exactly was hit? What is the United States targeting with this overwhelming military campaign? This is a report from the New York Times after the strikes were carried out, kind of breaking down exactly what happened. It says the United States carried out large-scale military strikes on Saturday against dozens of targets in Yemen controlled by Iranian-backed Houthi militias, President Trump announced. It was the opening salvo to what senior American officials said was a new offensive against the militants and a strong message to Iran, as Mr. Trump seeks a nuclear deal with its government. Air and naval strikes ordered by Mr. Trump hit radars, air defenses, and missile and drone systems in an effort to open international shipping lanes in the Red Seas that the Houthis have disrupted for months with their own attacks. At least one senior Houthi commander was targeted. The Biden administration conducted several strikes against the Houthis, but largely failed to restore stability. It then further says, U.S. officials said the bombardment, the most significant military action of Mr. Trump's second term so far, was meant to send a signal to Iran. Trump wants to broker a deal with Iran to prevent it from acquiring a nuclear weapon, but has left open the possibility of military action if the Iranians rebuff negotiations. Furthermore, U.S. officials said the airstrikes against the Houthis' arsenal, much of which is buried deep underground, but as we saw with the strike in Somalia, being underground is not going to save you from what the United States military has in its arsenal, could last for several weeks, intensifying in scope and scale, depending on the militants' reaction, which we're going to get into. U.S. intelligence agencies have struggled in the past to identify and locate the Houthi weapon systems, but with the rebels produce in subterranean factories and smuggle in from Iran. So what are the Houthis going to do now that we hit them? Well, this says, a report released on Sunday, March 16th, the Houthi militia in Yemen has vowed to retaliate after President Trump ordered a large-scale military strike on targets controlled by the group that killed at least 31 people. The group, which is backed by Iran, said that women and children were among those killed in the strike on Saturday, the most significant military action Trump has taken in the Middle East. So there you go. I would always tell you to, whenever these guys, they love to say, oh, it was just a bunch of women and children. You didn't even get the bad guys. Women and children, it's a PR tactic. Ignore it. Without proof, that's ridiculous. It's the same play they run over and over and over again. But what does this mean? Let's get into that right now. More than anything, this action by President Trump continues to signal to the world, to bad guys, that the United States military is ready and waiting, and if ordered to, will strike when necessary to protect American interests. We saw this when they took out an ISIS leader in Iraq earlier this week. We saw this when they took out an ISIS leader in Somalia back, I think that was at the start of February. They then hit another terrorist leader in Syria. So they are rolling. They are just picking targets, and they are hammering them. And the Houthis have done incredible damage to international commerce, international safety, international trade on the waterways. You can't tolerate it. You cannot have a group like the Houthis harassing ships, terrorizing people. It cannot be allowed to happen. And President Trump now has launched a massive and overwhelming military operation against the Houthis, and they are just getting pummeled right now. And it's going to last for days and days and days. Does this mean we're at war with everyone in the Middle East? It does not. But we are at war with the Houthis at this point. We are lighting them up like a Christmas tree to restore order, reestablish deterrence, and make it clear we're the global superpower. If you want to shoot at our ships, we're going to show up with fighter jets, bombers, and everything else we got, and we are going to pummel you into the Stone Age. And the Houthis have no ability to stop American air power. They have one fighter jet that I believe is about 60 years old. If that thing gets in the air against American F-22s and F-18s and F-35s, it's going to get blasted before it even hits cruising altitude. That's the fact of the matter. So this is a good thing. You have to reestablish order. You have to reestablish deterrence. And that's what we're doing. And the Houthis are getting a front row seat to a lesson in American air power and military superiority. And as I've always said, if you're the drug cartels down in Mexico and you're watching this, I'd be thinking long and hard about what you want to do next, because don't think for 1 second these tools also can't be used against you if that's what President Trump decides to do. We are crushing these people, which is exactly how you handle them. You cannot give them an inch. If they fire a missile, you wipe out where that missile came from. They hit one of your ships, you wipe out one of their entire bases. It's pretty simple. Respond with overwhelming force, overwhelming power. That is what the United States is doing right now, and that is how you reestablish order and you stop carnage and chaos. We'll see what happens next. I will make sure to keep you all updated. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment with your thoughts below. I'll see you all next time.